We're going to keep it short and simple. We're basically going to go over what's good and what's bad about Enhancement Shaman and how these talent trees are actually functioning as of right now. And if you want to see more content like this or even on other classes, like and comment what you want to see next. And if you want to see more of BigTuna, make sure to follow my Twitter and my Instagram. Always appreciated. But yeah, let's get right into the video. So starting off with probably the biggest shock and the biggest plus of Enhancement Shaman coming Dragonflight is the amount of movement / counter movement you have. This includes stuff like Feral Lunge, Gust of Wind, Thunderstorm, Earth Grab Totem, Static Field Totem, and Thunder's Pause. Now, obviously some of these might not be played depending on what you're facing, but it is just nice to have the option to take these abilities. Feral Lunge was always a good ability, but you never took it because it's on the same talent tree as Nature's Guardian. But now that, coming Dragonflight, these talent trees open up so much possibility to take talents that you never really could take in Shadowlands. It feels so nice having Feral Lunge, just having this ability as a normal ability. So yeah, Feral Lunge, which is your gap closer. You have Earth Grab Totem, which honestly is probably one of the best totems in the entirety of WoW history. It's so good to either just root people and hopefully, get one step closer to them, or again, the big plus, which is keeping that pressure away from you and at a distance. You have stuff like Thunderstorm, which is kind of like the whole counter movement play. You're stunned and you just need a little bit of pressure, even if it's like a second and a half. It's still something, and it's still something that just feels so nice for an Enhancement Shaman to have. And of course, Static Field Totem is probably my favorite totem of all time. It's just like an inverted ring of peace. I love it. Nobody, even to this day, people still never expect it, and they always just sit there trying to run out the Static Field Totem. It doesn't work like that, buddy. You also have Thunder's Pause, which is obviously, it's a conduit in Shadowlands. It got a little bit of a rework in Dragonflight. Now it actually removes snares and increases your movement speed by 25% for 3 seconds every 60 seconds. It's basically like a little, kind of like a whack version, a Walmart version of Spirit Walk, but hey, it is still nice to have if you're not taking Spirit Walk. Which brings us to our next mobility option, which is Gust of Wind or Spirit Walk. These dual talents are actually really interesting in Shadowlands, in Dragonflight Alpha, because they're usually always situational. They're never like, hey, it's gonna suck if you don't have this. No, it's always situational based on what you're fighting. And Gust of Wind, obviously, it's an ability lost in time. Every class has an ability that is lost in the WoW archives forever. Metamorphosis for demos, Pursuit of Justice, Long Arm of the Law, Gladiator Stance, Deep Freeze. Never gonna get those back. Suck on it, nerds. We got Gust of Wind back. We're definitely the MVPs of the expansion. But having that instant burst of mobility is just super nice, and it just feels amazing. Now, obviously, it's really interesting how all this works, because every class, let's say Demon Hunter and Monk, their mobility is very strict. It's just roll, it's flying serpent kick. It's a very, this is what they're good at. Whereas Enhancement, again, you gain not only gap closers, but counter movement like Earth Grab Totem and Static Field Totem, while also gaining kind of like a shorter burst of movement, which is Gust of Wind, and even Thunder's Pause if you're really going to take it. And of course, Thunderstorm being that counter movement / pressure reliever talent. It feels super amazing to have, and I think that just like this implementation alone is definitely going to bring some shamans back into the game. The second greatest thing about Enhancement Shaman is the healing. It's definitely a lot more than retail as of currently, because you have so many healing amplifiers. It is actually crazy. You have stuff like Earth Shield, which we all know and love. We have Earth Shield. We have Surging Shields, increase the healing done by Earth Shields by 12%, and affects Lightning Shield as well. Yeah, who really cares about Lightning Shield? You have Focused Insight. Very, very good. You have Refreshing Waters, and you have obviously a Maelstrom generation and Maelstrom certain effects. You also have Swirling Currents. All this is just super amazing, including Nature's Guardian. We all love Nature's Guardian. It's always been a favorite, always been super reliable, and it's really nice having all these healing amplifiers. At the same token, if you're not taking certain healing surge buffs, it's gonna feel weird. So it's kind of like a socketed, hey, you kind of need to go this route, which is a little bit unfortunate, but every class has their, has their talents are just desirable. You need it. It's gonna feel really awkward without it. And yeah, that's basically our healing. We have Earth Shield, which is just, again, Earth Shield has always been something that Enhancement Shamans have always needed. It's just increased healing, and of course the Maelstrom generation and Maelstrom affecting your healing and your damage. Yes, it's always going to be, a lock-in no matter what. Swirling Currents is obviously a conduit in Shadowlands, just increasing the next 3 healing surges by 25%. Always big. Just getting, that's usually as many heals as you can get off in a very short time stamp, which is 3 to 4 healing surges before you go So it is nice that it does affect a good amount of healing surges. And yeah, 25%, it's big number. Focused Insight is making a comeback. Yes, this is another ability that's been lost in time. It is super nice having Flame Shock just be in your overall rotation. In Shadowlands, Flame Shock is only used to obviously put a dot on stealthies and just use it when it's off cooldown because you have nothing else to press. Whereas now Flame Shock is, you're always going to want it on cooldown. You're always going to want that mana effectiveness and big heal from Focused Insight. So really glad to see, a big change like that. You also have Refreshing Waters, which is a conduit in Shadowlands. So that's like the main buildup of these trees. It is legendaries, conduits, Torghast abilities, your core abilities and returning abilities. It's kind of nice how they built these talent trees for a lot of these classes. But yeah, Refreshing Waters, your healing is 30% more effective on yourself. It is big healing. It's really nice. Another kind of interesting one is Ancestral Guidance. Ancestral Guidance is kind of memey. Back in the heyday. I'm not a boomer. But for your boomers, you obviously know Ancestral Guidance used to do a lot more healing. If you were to pop Ascendance and you would just constantly just get big shred damage, Ascendance did an insane amount of damage back then. Still does now, but back then it was just guaranteed one shot. Ancestral Guidance would pretty much heal your entire party, including you, to full. It was such a good ability. Now, you can still obviously use it, combining that with Ascendance or any bit of damage you have, but it's just not as big of healing as it used to be. So a little bit unfortunate, but hey, maybe it could be played in rock comps. I don't really know. You kind of, it's your talent. It's your talent tree. You pick what you want. Dreams are made by thinking and acting. So you take Ancestral Guidance and you make it work. You better make it work. I'm counting on you. So yeah, just the overall healing with Enhancement Shaman. Your mana is obviously good now, or it's definitely a lot better than it was in previous to the previous change they made in Shadowlands however long ago. So again, you're still going to be able to get a really solid amount of healing surges out before you go completely then that's when you got a Kite, and thank God you have a lot of counter movement, Earth Grab Totem, Thunderstorm, Static Field Totem to just keep people off you, so you get some mana back and you can go back into the fight and hopefully you win because you're playing Enhancement Shaman. You got to represent. You can't lose to these scumbags out here. The third big aspect that Enhancement Shaman is receiving in Dragonflight is the amount of damage you do. In Shadowlands, damage is interesting. In Shadowlands, you don't really have any big bursts. You don't really have a big window of, hey, I have big damage, for the next 20 seconds. Unless you're running Doomwind's Ascendance, which is still a very viable build, but nobody really runs it just because, Feral Spirits, Witch Arts of Wolf Bones, it's just always proved more. It's proving more reliable and just, more sustained. So, but either way, they're both good builds, but, you don't really have any, on-demand bursts. You're just kind of basically dumping your whole rotation on somebody and hoping they take damage. Now, coming Dragonflight, almost all your abilities do really good damage. Your Storm Strike, you have so many Storm Strike amplifiers. Stormbringer, Improved Stormbringer, Storm Flurry. You have some Gathering Storm little talents here. You have Elemental Assault. You have Legacies of Frostwitch, which, by the way, you have legit 5 legendaries in your talent tree. Pretty nuts, I'm not gonna lie. We have so many Storm Strike amplifiers that Storm Strike was always your top damage, but now it just does a lot more damage. your lightning bolt actually does really good damage now. Increase the damage of your lightning bolt by 20%. This is huge. Lightning bolt in Shadowlands does do decent damage, to be fair, but now, you know, because you obviously have like certain Maelstrom effects, you know, kind of going on here. Again, just all like your healing and your damage is just increased by that much more. So Lightning Bolt actually does really solid damage. Combine that with Primordial Wave, Lightning Bolt actually, it can definitely chunk someone for an unexpected amount of HP. And I know what you're thinking, why the hell is Primordial Wave here? We love Chain Harvest, why is it here? If you're really wondering that, you shouldn't be on Enhancement Shaman. Again, an ability that just full heals your team, free like at least 20, at minimum 20k damage, you know, free flame shocks and everybody, free riptides and everybody. All right, the cooldown even gets reduced. Like, it's just a disgusting ability, and you know, I'm glad that it's not in this tree. Obviously, it's kind of unfortunate saying that because, you know, DKs get A-Bomb Limb, priests get Mind Games, but you know what, I'm not a fan of Chain Harvest, all right? Being subjugated into a talent or an ability just because it is the best and you can't really compare it to anything else, it sucks. So I'm glad it's not. I'm glad it's not in the Enhancement Shaman tree. But you know, again, it just does really good damage. Now, Ascendance is honestly a shocking kind of a shocking turn from Shadowlands to Dragonflight. You have Ascendance, you also have this kind of little burst build here. Static accumulation, while Ascendance is active, generate 1 Maelstrom weapon stack every 1 second. Obviously, you upgrade it, you can get 2 Maelstrom weapon. This is good because of this talent. While Ascendance is active, Windstrike automatically consumes up to 5 Maelstrom weapon stacks to discharge a lightning bolt at your enemy. That is, it's a work in progress, but it definitely adds so much more damage to Ascendance because obviously lightning bolt does good damage now. And now when you're Ascendance, you don't have to waste a global on getting a lightning bolt out there. You can just continue to press, you know, Windstrike, and it just feels so good. Obviously, Ascendance isn't as powerful as, you know, some other cooldowns out there like Avatar, Recklessness, yada yada, or Wings, but it definitely does a lot more damage in Dragonflight than it does in Shadowlands, and it's really a nice kind of touch up. You know, Ascendance has always been like a very fan favorite ability, and the fact that it's just kind of like been the same as it always has been, you know, a little bit unfortunate. But now you have this implementation, it feels so much better. Now your Feral Spirits also surprisingly do a really good amount of damage. They attack so fast. Like, there are times where, again, I pop my Feral Spirits, you know, I'm kind of, you know, I'm setting up my whole burst, getting my shocks up, and I get feared or mortal coil, whatever, and I turn back. This guy's HP is already like, it's dropping down like at a pretty fast rate. I haven't even hit the guy yet. The only thing I'm telling him is by Feral Spirits. It's interesting, it's questioning. So maybe even the Ghost Wolf build is still probably not gonna be dominant, but definitely is still gonna be, you know, reliable and a good source of damage. Now, you have something like this called Alpha Wolf. This is from Legion. I'm pretty sure it's from Legion. While Feral Spirits are active, Crash Lightning causes your wolves to attack all nearby enemies for the next 8 seconds. This is definitely better for PvE, but for PvP, if you want to min-max or turbo cleave, alright, then I guess take Alpha Wolf if you really want to be that guy. But, you know, again, Feral Spirits does a surprising amount of damage. Now, some stuff that I really didn't expect seeing is Frost Shock. Frost Shock does really good damage now. You have access to Ice Strike and Hailstorm. So Ice Strike empowers, you know, it does good damage on its own. It also slows the target and increases the damage of your next Frost Shock by 100%. Obviously, taking Hailstorm, you consume 5 Maelstrom stack, you know, Healing Surge or Lightning Bolt, you will gain a 75% damage increase on your Frost Shock. That's pretty dang big. So you just Frost Shock for obviously the slow. Now you can actually Frost Shock for the slow and some pretty good damage. It's pretty nice. Now another kind of memey one is Lava Burst. Lava Burst does good damage. It always crits. You know, yes, it is affected by your Maelstrom weapon, so you get 5 Maelstrom stacks. Boom, you can throw a Lava Burst out there. Pretty dang nice. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Primal Lava Actuators is in Dragonflight. Very interesting to see. Again, your Flame Shock ticks increase the damage of your Lava Lash, makes Lava Lash hit not like a truck, but definitely makes it hit harder than it does in Shadowlands. In Shadowlands, it hits like a potato, wet noodle. It's garbage. Get it out of here. And obviously having access to Hot Hand, all your Lava Lash kind of, talents, it is just super nice to have. All your abilities basically just do damage. It's phenomenal. You have access to Doom Winds. Again, Doom Winds is amazing. Now, obviously, it is nerfed a bit. The actual hit rate of Wind Fury is nerfed, and the duration of Wind Fury is nerfed. So a little bit unfortunate, but again, it's just free damage. It's like Chill Streak. It's free damage. Why wouldn't you take it? Elemental Blast. Elemental Blast, I would assume it will do a lot of damage. If Lightning Bolt does a lot of damage, then Elemental Blast has to do a lot of damage. I haven't been able to test it because it literally does not work. It hasn't been working since legit, alpha came out. So a little bit unfortunate, but I would assume it would do some really big damage if Lightning Bolt is hitting this hard. And by the way, yes, Primordial Wave is affected by your Ascendance, with Thorns and Invocation. So if you Primordial Wave and you Ascendance, you consume those 5 Maelstrom stacks when you're in Ascendance. When you're in Ascendance mode, yes, it'll automatically discharge that Primordial Wave, Lightning Bolts. It makes for some really fat damage in just like one global. Let me tell you, it's pretty nutty. I was dueling my friend Loveladian and his buddy Arrow Assassin, both great YouTubers, check them out. And Loveladian's friend Trey, and they were surprised. They were surprised that Enhancement Shaman it was actually kind of working their butts. I'm not gonna lie. So it was really fun and really interesting. But yeah, all your abilities, other than Flame Shock, obviously, just do really good, surprising damage. It's honestly phenomenal to see. I kind of have some minor little builds that people may not think about. Again, you got to use your minds. Is kind of like a cheesy one for a lot of melee, for maybe rogues, or specifically outlaw rogues, warriors, and Windwalker monks. You have Astral Shift and this dual talent. You can either take Astral Bulwark or Plains Traveler. Astral Bulwark makes your Astral Shift tankier, 55% reduced damage basically, and Plains Traveler reduces the cooldown of Astral Shift and increases the duration. Now, of course, Plains Traveler is always going to be played. You've all played Shadowlands. You've all seen Dragonflight, at least a snippet of Dragonflight. Dueling, PvP, whatever. You're still gonna die no matter how tanky, no matter how good you think you are in your bubble, in your bop, in your unending resolve, in your astral shift, in your evasion. You're going to die. So it's not worth really buffing astral shift that much. You might as well just take the reduced cooldown. Now, yes, this Plains Traveler does affect your ethereal form. So you legit have a 15-second cooldown ethereal form. That the duration of it lasts longer than the actual cooldown. Now, obviously, the cooldown doesn't start until you swap out of ethereal form, but it is just really nice to have. I don't know if it's intended. It might be looked into, but I also don't think it might be looked into. So this can be like a very cheese, melee counter, at least for physical damage. So it's really funny. I was doing a lot of warriors and Windwalker monks. I was doing Arrow Assassin, and I just pop ethereal form, and again he popped his burst and nothing. Like, I was just safe. I just waited out his Zuen and his Serenity, or his Storm, Earthwind, and Fire, and I just popped him. And if he had Fist of Fury up, then boom, another ethereal form. It's 15-second cooldown. You have ethereal form for literally any bit of damage they have. It's very troll, but it's not going to be super played. It's definitely memey, but it is just kind of something worth noting. Now, another build here is a kind of like Ghost Wolf survivability build. You can take Spirit Wolf if you want to. Obviously, Spirit Wolf is a great talent, but you never took it because it was on the same row as Earthshield. So now that, again, you have access to Earthshield, you have access to so many abilities that you could never take before, Spirit Wolf is just going to be so good. So this is mostly going to affect like Rogue Mage, stuff that can really show you down in the opener. Spirit Wolf combined with what is it? Ancestral Affinity. If you really want to min-max it, you could take Spectral Recovery. You basically just have 20% damage reduction and movement speed, on top of having just more movement speed on Winds of Valakir. You also have a little bit of extra healing through Earthshield, and you also have healing from Spectral Recovery, and you also can cast totems and everything from Ghost Wolf. Cleanse Spirit, Wind Shear, Purge, and Totem Cast no longer cancel Ghost Wolf. So if you're getting opened on, you're most likely going to be the kill target. Again, you get stunned. Shamans, at least enhanced Shamans, will always die in a stun no matter what, so long as you set it up properly. They're going to flop. They're going to flop. It's just kind of like by nature. So when you have 20% damage reduction, healing from Earthshield and Spectral Recovery, and most likely you're gonna obviously pre-pop or feral spirits. You're gonna be able to just run and ghost stuff. You're gonna be able to static field, earth grab totem. You're gonna be able to purge and windshield whenever you need to. It's gonna feel so good just getting that pressure off of you. You have more movement speed, you have damage reduction, you have a bit of healing, and if you really need to, you can pop back out and just get a healing surge off. It's really gonna help you in those really tough openers. So it's something worth noting. I can really see this being played heavily into stuff, more so RMP, but jungle is definitely going to be just as hard and just as, demanding for these talents. So Spirit Wolf, Ancestral, Wolf Affinity, Spectral Recovery, if you really want Spectral Recovery, and yeah, just kind of like a Ghost Wolf's tanky survivability, mobility build is going to be, minor build is going to be interesting to see how well it actually does affect, your survivability as Enhancement Shaman. And some other noteworthy crap, Cap Totem combined with Guardian's Cudgel. Everybody always destroys Cap Totem. This obviously you're gonna have to play Cap Totem into something like Demo Locks, so you're always gonna have to play Cap Totem. Guardian's Cudgel, Cap Totem, the minute it gets placed down, your people always destroy it, so kind of troll them with Guardian's Cudgel. You destroyed that one, cool, I got another Cap Totem, and boom, 3 second stun. It's not obviously the best stun in the game, it's definitely the worst stun in the game, but it is just nice landing that. Hopefully get all their pets. Same thing with Windwalker Monks, anything that just has like a lot of pets or slash summons, it's going to be really nice going into. Hex, short cooldown Hex, not really anything too exciting here, probably not going to be played. Same thing with Spirit Walker's Grace and Aegis and Graceful Spirit. You have some stuff down here like Mana Spring Totem, not going to be too insane. 250 mana is, sure, it's cool whenever you Storm Strike or Lava Burst, but it's really not gonna affect Enhancement Shaman that much. Maybe it could, and maybe it might be strictly good, but we'll have to step into the arena to find out. We also have Stone Skin Totem and Tranquil Arrow Totem. Tranquil Arrow Totem just reduces the duration of all incoming interrupts by 50%. Can be really good for your healers, and Stone Skin Totem just 10% damage reduction every 30 seconds. Pretty nice. They're definitely going to kill it, but it is nice seeing these old totems be back into the game. Stuff like Poison Cleansing Totem. This can be really good into Assassination Rogues. I don't know if they have their insane Shiv that obviously increases the rate their dots tick. I don't know if they have that in Dragonflight, but if they do have that, Poison Cleansing Totem it's not going to shut it down, but it's definitely going to help you if they don't kill it. So definitely very nice. Even though, they didn't really have that many poisons, like mind-numbing poison, yeah, crippling poison, wound poison. Basically, they're poisons that are coated on their weapons, but other than that, I don't really think they have any other poison abilities. So who knows? Maybe you could just take this for the meme, for the content, basically. But you also have Totemic Projection. This is coming back to the game. It's really nice. Every shaman has whipped a totem in their career. Don't lie. You use Totemic Projection, you replace that Cap Totem or that Earth Grab Totem or that Spirit Link Totem or the Wall Totem, and boom, you just saved yourself you saved your mistake. All right, good job on you. Then you have Call of the Elements. Call of the Elements is not going to be super common, but if you really want to, again, if you really want to kind of min-max, a priest is running Short Fear, let's just kind of use that example. You can Tremor Totem, use Call of the Elements, it'll reset your three most recently used totem. Oh, sorry, your recently used totem, my bad. So if you Tremor Totem, you just instantly Call the Elements again, then boom, you can get your Tremor Totem back, and you have another Tremor Totem for the next fear. Pretty damn nice, if I say so myself. But yeah, that's pretty much all, that's kind of all the minor stuff. I went over what's good and what's bad. Now, what's the actual review? What's the actual verdict of Enhancement Shaman? I think currently Enhancement Shaman, I think it's a pretty nice spot. All right, I think it's good. I think it's definitely gonna, when people see Enhancement Shaman PvP, if it stays like this, yeah, it's gonna make some people want to come back. Now, obviously, again, this is the alpha. You literally have whack stats. You have no verse. You have no trinket. There's no battlegrounds. That's arena. So it's obviously what I'm saying isn't supported by reliable evidence. But from what we have been given from the alpha, this is the verdict that I'm saying. I'm saying Enhancement Shaman is good. Obviously, you have Affliction Lock and Arms Warrior that just makes everything in the game look like doo-doo. It makes Enhancement Shaman, look like crap. That's just because they're just completely overtuned is like an understatement. Let me just tell you that much. But, again, I think Enhancement Shaman is good. Now, obviously, there's some bad stuff. Like, again, you still die in stuns. You still take a lot of damage. You still don't have another defensive, stuff like that. But that's always going to be Enhancement Shaman. Like, they're never going to change that. Again, Dragonflight, they had a perfect opportunity to change that. Maybe, again, kind of like go away with like a lot of like these healing amplifiers and give us like another like defensive. But, they're going to keep working around Astral Shift, which is not what we want. We want another defensive, but it's unfortunate. Enhancement Shaman is just a warrior that can heal. Another Zug. There's not really too much outplayability with Enhancement Shaman. There's just, you go in, you heal, you do damage, and if you live, then cool. If you die, then that sucks. So that's why like the main takeaway from all this is your counter movement and your movement. Feral Lunge, Earth Grab, Thunderstorm, Thunder's Pause, Gust of Wind, Static Field. That's your main takeaway from Dragonflight as of right now. Now, in terms of the actual talent trees, they're very concerning. So the reason why a lot of Enhancement Shamans are unhappy about the talent tree is because it's just, in terms of like, I'm going to say in terms of fun, it's just like what we have in Shadowlands, which isn't bad, but it's just a little disappointing to see. Demo Locks can summon Pit Lords. Their Fel Guards can throw their axe and erupt the ground. They can summon Imp gang bosses. If Imps weren't scary enough, they have gang bosses now. It's so new and refreshing, whereas Enhancement, you don't really get anything new and exciting. Everything has just been here, other than, Ascendance and, these bad boys down here. Now, in terms of, playability and viability, these trees are very concerning, because you look at something like Elemental Shaman, it's very strict on what it wants. You have your Lightning and your Thunder on the left side, you have your Lava and your Flame Shock on your right side. Whereas Enhancement Shaman, up until like this middle row, it just falls apart insanely. Like, you get your Lava Lash kind of amplifiers here, your Wind, Fury, Doom Winds amplifiers over here, and then everything else is just, these two rows are just Storm Strike, and then just branches off into like this really weird trees. The only tree that I actually like is complete is, Ascendance, and obviously Ascendance and this kind of tree here. That's like, and of course like Feral Spirits, Elemental Soul, Legacy of Frost Witch, and your Wolves talent. But like everything else is just like really, it's just not complete. Why is Hot Hand over here? You know what I'm saying? Why is it's all really out of sync. There's nothing connecting. There's no synergy. Why is Hot Hand over here and Storm Flurry is over here? Why can't it just be over here? Again, you have your Storm Strike kind of like in this little area here, and then obviously you have Storm Strike kind of down here. These are not really weird positions. It makes sense why they're here, because obviously Maelstrom, it all affects your Feral Spirits, but just having Storm Strike just be up here and having more Storm Strike amplifiers be all the way down here, it feels really awkward. And Hot Hand should not be down here. Again, this is just like one of the main issues that Enhancement Shamans have, is that there's no synergy here. It's all just kind of out of whack. Up again, this middle row is perfect. I think this middle row, not perfect, but it's definitely fluent here. You have a Lava Lash, you have a Doom Winds, you have a Wind Fury, but from this point on, it just gets out of whack. Like, it gets really just out of sync, and it feels really awkward. Even like as much as I love Primordial Wave, like there's no reason to like go. There's no reason to take like Primal Maelstrom or like Splintered Elements. I personally like it, but in terms of like, as an actual critic, there's no reason to like go down this tree. There's no reason. There's no reason to even take Primordial Wave if I'm being completely honest. I love it, but as a critic, there's no reason to. So I don't know. It's probably going to stay the same, to be honest, because Shamans and a lot of other classes suffer the same problem where, in Blizzard's eyes, if something is good, they're not going to change it. I mean, they're going to change it. Let's be honest. They change it from being good to bad. But, you know, if something is good, why should you change it? You know, it's not fun or it's all out of whack, but the class is good. So like, why would you change it? Why would Blizzard change it? That's kind of that's always seems to be like the mentality that Blizzard always has going into like new expansions / patches. You know, if everything is, even if it's not functioning well, it still does good damage, it can live, you can still kill people, you can still get X amount of rating. Why am I going to change this? You know what I'm saying? So this is probably going to be the same talent tree that we're going to see in beta, which is unfortunate, but you know, yeah, that's just how it is. So yeah, that's basically my whole little, you know, Enhancement Shaman review. Again, final thoughts, I think it's in a great spot. You know, in Dragonflight Alpha, if it stays like this, I think it's going to be, you know, I think it's definitely going to be a lot more played. The Enhancement Shaman population is going to come back. You know, again, main takeaways are mobility, your healing, your damage, all are just super, it's really nice. It's really good, you know. So, yeah. There's nothing really else to say about Enhancement Shaman. And if you liked the video, please subscribe. And yeah. Hope to see you guys in the next videos in the future. Peace. Alright guys, so as I'm editing this video, I actually stumbled across a post I missed about yesterday talking about the several changes that are coming to Enhancement Shaman for the next upcoming build for the alpha. So spoiler alert, nothing really changes what I said or any statements that I may have, you know, stated in this video. So just gonna spoiler alert, but I'm just gonna briefly go over what we kind of got here. So starting off, basically they removed a minus 35% damage and healing modifier to our spells from Maelstrom Weapon. So this is definitely good, just again an uplift for more damage and more healing. They might reintroduce this basically on, you know, how far the tuning goes. So, you know, but right now this is removed, so more damage and more healing, already off to a good start. Now, Primal Primer is no longer an option in the tree. If you know, down to the right of your Enhancement Shaman tree, you can either take Primal Primer or Primal Lava Actuators. Primal Primer makes it so your attacks with Flame Tongue weapon make it so your target takes increased damage from your Lava Lash. Now, this one was really weird because it pretty sure it was like a tooltip error, because it literally said that it'll increase the damage your next Lava Lash by like 8. So pretty much a tooltip error, but either way, Primal Lava Actuators and Primal Primer are both just almost identical, so there's no really need to keep, you know, the lesser played option, which is Primal Primer in the game. So they just removed it. So on to the next. Hailstorm, yes, now provides your next Frost Shock a bonus for up to 10 Maelstrom weapon charges spent to better work with Overflowing Maelstrom. Now, yes, if you are taking Overflowing Maelstrom, which makes it so your abilities now consume up to 10 Maelstrom stacks, so it's just going to mean bigger damage and more healing, but obviously you're going to have to build up a little bit longer to actually get those abilities off. Now your Hailstorm actually just synergizes with Overflowing Maelstrom. Nothing too, you know, exciting about this. This doesn't really affect, you know, anything with enhancement currently. Storm Strike now replaces Primal Strike. Cool. Primal Strike is just, for some reasons in the game, it's just there, so might as well just kind of look at it, I guess, you know. But Storm Strike now replaces it, so bye-bye Primal Strike, you're gone. Doom Winds now does immediate damage when you activate the ability. This is interesting. Now, obviously this was a big problem with Ascendance. You know, Ascendance is obviously a really good cooldown, but it's a 3-minute CD and lasts for 15 seconds, which is a, you know, fairly long time, to be honest. But, you know, once you pop Ascendance, you're always stunned, you're always CC'd, much like when you pop anything else like Wings or, you know, or Dark Soul Instability, any cooldown. But unlike Enhance or unlike, you know, other classes, you know, a lot of classes have multiple charges of that ability or have, you know, an increased duration or just a shorter cooldown on that burst window. So, you know, again, they're not really as hardly punished as Enhancement. So they added a, you know, a damage on-demand damage once you press Ascendance. So they're kind of doing the same thing with Doom Winds, and honestly, I'm cool with it. Depending on how high the damage is, it'll actually, you know, be very noticeable. So if Ascendance already does good damage, you know, immediate damage, so I'm assuming Doom Winds will do like at least like probably maximum half of the damage that on-demand Ascendance does. So it's definitely very nice. Doom Winds in retail, again, always gets stunned, always gets CC'd, and that pretty much just kind of goes away. Obviously, coming to Dragonflight, where Doom Winds is nerfed, the hit rate of Doom Winds is, is less now, and the actual duration of Doom Winds is less now. Having this is definitely going to be a pretty solid game changer for Doom Winds. It's actually going to make it a not only free damage, but just free on-demand damage. Pretty damn nice. So Ice Strike's Frost Strike buff now highlights Frost Shock. That's really good. I am using Ice Strike currently, so this is definitely going to be really nice. Just having that highlight again. WoW players are usually slow, so just having a little bit of help can never go wrong. Alpha Wolf now works with Chain Lightning rather than Crash Lightning, so you do not have to take Crash Lightning to get the benefit. Alpha Wolf is a talent from, I believe, Legion coming back into Dragonflight, which makes it so whenever you Crash Lightning, your Feral Spirits now attack anybody like around for about 8 seconds. So now this actually works with Chain Lightning, I'm assuming. Now it works with Chain Lightning, so I'm assuming if you just Chain Lightning, you'll get the benefit of Alpha Wolf. So interesting, unless I'm reading it wrong, which I probably am. But yeah, whenever you press Chain Lightning, it'll give you the benefit of Alpha Wolf. So interesting, very, very interesting. Ascendance now is a choice node versus deeply rooted elements. For elemental and restoration, you have the option to go ascendance or deeply rooted elements. For enhancement, you only could take ascendance, which is not bad. Ascendance is really good, but now you can actually choose between deeply rooted elements and ascendance. This is definitely going to be a situational one. If you really need just on-demand bursts, you really need to do as much damage as possible in certain windows, you're always going to take ascendance. But if it's really like a longer kind of drawn out game, maybe deeply rooted elements is going to be really good. Hopefully you get some, get a fair amount of procs of ascendance through just normal storm strikes. And if you are taking the full ascendance build of going Thorm's Invocation and just getting all those lightning bolts off whenever you gain 5 Maelstrom stacks, it's going to be very, very nice. Just constantly getting those ascendances off and constantly just getting that big shred damage and big pressure in a pretty short window. So again, it's going to be very situational, and I'm very excited for that. Thorm's Invocation now remembers whether you most recently cast a Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt. Wow, I reversed that so hard. And uses the spell when you use Wind Strike rather than always using Lightning Bolt. So this doesn't really affect, this is mostly like a PvE kind of thing. So basically, if you use Lightning Bolt or if you use Lightning Bolt, then Thorm's Invocation is going to recognize Lightning Bolt first, and it's going to cast more Lightning Bolts. However, if you use Chain Lightning first, then it's going to remember to just continuously cast Chain Lightning whenever you Wind Strike, and you get those 5 Maelstrom stacks, consume it, and get your Chain Lightnings out there. So interesting, mostly like a PvE thing, not really going to be too big of a problem for PvP. Chain Lightning rank 2 functionality baked into Crash Lightning / Chain Lightning interactions. This is very nice. One of the things that people have a problem with, which I honestly, not saying I don't have a problem with it, but it's not as big as a problem as people think, is the talent trees where it breaks down and disassembles a lot of your core abilities. In Dragonflight, what I mean by that is, stuff like Tiger's Fury or, Crash Lightning, stuff that just has like a lot of like secondary attributes to that spell are just broken down within Dragonflight. So you got to kind of pick and choose and, maximize, if you really want to, spend those talent points to actually maximize that one ability. It's definitely, it's concerning for certain classes. So the fact that this is just obviously getting, fixed by a little bit is definitely just going to be really nice. New 1-point talent, Crashing Storms. Crash Lightning damage increased by 40% and Chain Lightning strikes 2 additional targets. Again, new talent, very cool. Don't think this is going to be too worth, because Crash Lightning is, obviously the effects of Crash Lightning are really good. It's your core ability, but the actual damage itself from Crash Lightning, it's like not even like there. It's like MGK in the rap scene. He wasn't even in the conversation, so he's just kind of out of here, you know what I'm saying? Crash Lightning isn't even in like the discussion of, damage. So it's a new talent, definitely, and again, most likely a PvE thing. So, always got to show some love to the PvEers. They work really hard, so gotta show them some. Gathering Storms has been consolidated down to a 1-point talent. Gathering Storms is the talent where whenever you crash lightning, however many targets are hit, it buffs the damage of Storm Strike by like 2% per target hit. Now it's just, this was like a 2-point spender, so now it's just like a 1 talent point, which is, again, you save an extra talent point, very nice. You can spend it on something, that 1 extra talent point, on whatever you want. Cool, go nuts. Hot Hand has been converted to a 2-point talent with the same total values. This is a bit of unfortunate. Again, just basically means you're gonna have to spend that, another talent point into getting Hot Hand, which is originally a 1 talent point. So unfortunate, but we'll really see how unfortunate that really is. Feral Spirit cooldown has been reduced to 90 seconds, a minute and a half from 2 minutes. That's pretty big, from 2 minutes to 1.5 minute cooldown. That's pretty big. Elemental Spirits no longer reduces the cooldown of Feral Spirits, so that is obviously unfortunate. But again, just normal Feral Spirits is kind of baked down, just baked into the actual ability itself. So it doesn't really change anything. It is just kind of like a change to change it, I guess, but we'll see how big this impact actually is. And several talents have shifted around due to the above changes. So again, this is coming into the next build of the alpha, so hopefully all this, again, this isn't really going to affect Enhancement Shaman big time. It's not going to shaft it, it's not going to make it 10 times better. Again, I really do think from what is on paper, obviously alpha right now is not a super reliable source of determining what classes are going to be strong in Dragonflight. All we can say is what is strong right now. Okay, you got to get it out there. If you have an opinion, this is the only time in the world where if you have an opinion, say it, because it's the alpha and they're moving quick. Blizzard is not really taking this slow, so you gotta, if you have something to say, you gotta say it, make your voice heard. So right now, Enhancement Shaman it's definitely stronger than other classes. When you actually figure out your toolkit and you actually kind of, learned how to play around your stuff like, Thunderstorm, Blinding Lasso, Earthgrab Totem, all your mobility / anti-mobility, and really just figuring out, how Ascendance, when you want to burst, figuring out all your new additional, abilities and talents to your toolkit. Once you figure that out, you're going to realize that Enhanced Shaman, it's coming back. It's coming back. From right now, from what we have right now, it's definitely stronger than a lot of other classes currently. So not Warrior or Affliction Warlock strong, but definitely in a really good, solid spot. You can't really shake it off. So very good. But yeah, I just wanted to go over those because I missed this post. It was apparently 1 day ago. So unfortunate, but you know what? I got it better late than never. All right. Cheers, guys.